It's raining out, and I don't think I have any power at the moment, although I think it may have just come back. I wanted to do this video outside like I always kind of do, but what are we going to do? So I'm doing it here on the porch. I'm sorry if you can hear the rain. If I don't make it as an NBA analyst on YouTube, I have a great backup plan to become a ASMR NBA analyst, and I'll probably be the first to ever do that. So stay tuned if I am a huge failure. Speaking of huge failures, and I'm going to lower that grade to a moderate failure, and then again, I'm going to lower it again to not that much of a failure. This next team is the team that I am going to be the most critical of. I've been thinking about making this video for a good amount of time. It's really sort of special to me to talk about this team. It's a team everybody's aware of. It's probably the second most popular franchise in the NBA, probably second or third. You can make the argument that it is the second most. Obviously, the first is the Lakers, then the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors are one of the older teams in the NBA, but they rose to stardom in these past 2 decades as they acquired one of the most special talents in NBA history, Steph Curry. He's developed into a all-NBA amazing talent, one of my favorite players to ever watch. Watching Steph Curry is like a drug for NBA fans and casual fans. It's just, he gives you something that you want to just keep coming back to see. He's one of the most unique talents to ever be on the hardwood. So this past year, they were in a unique position where there were MVP talks about Steph Curry. They made the play-in tournament this last year. They played the Lakers after winning the first game against the Grizzlies, barely. And it kind of leaves you with a weird impression on what's going on with the team. It's very odd for me to look at a team and say that maybe they could be in a little bit better of a situation if they tweaked a few things. And I'm not saying they need to tweak a few things in the player aspect. I'm actually about to say that they should tweak something up maybe with the coaching aspect. And we're going to get into that in our coaching segment. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Steve Kerr is a extremely talented coach. I really think that he's one of the better coaches to come out of these past 10, 20 years. And he's done an amazing job at navigating this modern NBA and building an offense like nothing we've ever seen before. It's beginning to seem like he's a one-trick pony in terms of how to run an offense. Where you do have an offensive talent like Steph Curry, you have a genius in Draymond Green, and you have other talents on the team that can fit multiple roles and play to their absolute hardest. But it seems like for the past few years, as they've declined from the championship-winning team that they are, they're now in a stage where they look like a shell of their former selves. It's very weird to see this team now because it's like they're playing like their former selves, but they're just not as good. And that has to do with the talent that they have on the team. I think this year they did a lot to make the burden fall on Steph Curry rather than building a offense that's sort of adequate. They just sort of hoped that their players would make the shots and then Steph would come in and do the rest. And that's not how it should go. I think that you have to use your talents in different sort of ways in order for you to win basketball games. And I will say they've done a good job at promoting talents like Juan Toscano-Anderson, a player who was on nobody's radar and now is on everybody's radar, and Jordan Poole, who's this 3-and-D guy who's very, very good at basketball. For some reason, this team lacks a uniformity in a sense because by all means, they have the makings of a team that is just really good. And I think a lot of it has to do with defense, where it seems like Draymond Green and Kevon Looney are the only 2 players on the team that are playing defense. It allows guards to just go absolutely ballistic and supernova against your team. And I don't think you're going to win many games and keep up as well when you don't have Klay Thompson. So they will have Klay Thompson again this season, but will it be enough? I mean, he may not be the same as he once was. I will say, if it's anybody who's going to come back and work so well off 2 major injuries in a row, it's Klay Thompson. But I think in order for this team to be good in the future, they're going to have to do a rebrand in terms of how they style their offense and defense. So if they don't seem to make a change this season, I think it's time for Steve Kerr to step down as the coach. And it's really hard to say that. It's really hard to say that Steve Kerr should step down as the coach because he's Steve Kerr. He is an amazing coach, and he was an amazing coach. But when it comes to working your way back up, it seems like they're going to need a different approach entirely. Maybe they need somebody with a fresh point of view to take these talents and utilize them in different ways. And maybe that'd be good for Steph's career. Maybe that'd be good for Klay's career. Maybe it'd be good for Draymond's career. Not that those guys are too worried, but overall, you want to get to the point of winning again. And look, during this offseason, they got a good wing in Otto Porter. They brought back in Andre Iguodala, and they have a few sort of versatile players that they're going to be able to put on the floor and do kind of what the Warriors offense do. But it's going to be really hard to win basketball games if Otto Porter is your big acquisition this offseason. The luxury tax for this team, although Bob Myers does not mind, is just going to even get worse as the years go on. Is it really beneficial for your team to take low risk, low rewards to try and do something? It seems like the Golden State Warriors are this fire, and they have the embers on the bottom that continue to stay lit no matter what. But you're trying to add this kindling that's just manure. And yes, you will get the intended result. It will be a fire. But is that really what you want to do? You want to get a shitty smelling fire just emanating through the air? It'll keep you warm, but it won't be anything good. So there's a lot of questions for the Golden State Warriors to try and improve themselves this season. And I hope it's not a system of reliance, because it always seems like that's what they're going back to, where it's just Steph Curry. Do you rely on him to make shots? Jordan Poole, you rely on him to make shots. Like, why not try and acquire talent now that can keep everything sort of consistent and glued together? There's only so much talent in this league that can go around, but it seems like what they're doing in the future is just trying to make a mini version of their former championship teams. And it may not be the model. And don't get me wrong, I know I can be wrong about my feeling about this team. This team has won 3 championships, had the best record in NBA history. They're one of the most amazing talents that the NBA has ever seen. They have to do their best in this newer NBA where everybody's going to try and give you a run for your money every single night. They have to try and prevent They have to figure out ways to try and prevent other teams from giving them a run for their money. And the preseason's going on, and they're doing good in the preseason, but the Golden State Warriors definitely do a good job at doing good in summer leagues and preseasons and all that stuff. But recently, when it comes to the time that matters, when it comes to regular season and playing games and making the playoffs, it hasn't been as easy. This team should not be making playoff pushes. They should just simply be in the playoffs. With these monumental talents on their teams, they're not living up to expectations, and not a lot of people are talking about it. And maybe what you need to do now is reset something to see how you can utilize these talents to ensure the longevity and the success of your team. They're in a retooling stage, and who knows if Steve Kerr is the guy to use those tools to the best of their ability going forward. And those tools are wearing out more every single day, every single game. It's time to look at this team from a critical point of view, because last season was not a success. And if they're not successful this year, he may have to go. And that brings me to my players to watch. There's so many players that you can watch on this team. And I could say Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson easily. But I'm going to go with the media pick, the one that everybody's talking about, in Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a really good player. He is a microwave. He is on everybody's radar when they watch the games. He's sort of found his way into a Klay Thompson-style role. But this year, he's going to have to step up in a big way. As Klay Thompson gears towards his return, how can Jordan Poole work off this bench to allow the team to breathe? When Steph goes off the floor, can Jordan Poole pick up what he left off on and allow them to not stagnate on scoring and to be more consistent? That was Jordan Poole's biggest issue last year, is that he would drop 35 in one game, and then all of a sudden he's dropping 2, 3, 9, but then back to 25. So this year is going to be about Jordan Poole finding that consistency, and I think that Steve Kerr is capable of finding that within Jordan Poole. It seems like Jordan Poole this offseason added a lot of offensive tactics to his game, so I think that this season is going to be a big one for him, and I think that he has to be on both fantasy radar and fan radar, because he's just a fun player to watch at the end of the day. He has this swagger to him where it seems like he's just cool, calm, and collected constantly. I know for a fact I'm not the first person to make the observation that Steve Kerr deserves to have an eye on him. They had this season 2 seasons ago where everybody was injured and they didn't have a good record at all. I think it was 15 wins or something. Then this previous season, they had 39 wins. He made the playing game. So there's no sort of denying the fact that Steve Kerr may be in some hot water. But I think as a viewer, we know that he's trying to use these talents the way he knows how to use them. So he's trying to fill Andrew Wiggins in that Harrison Barnes role, Jordan Poole in that Clay role. But maybe those players aren't the players to do that. And I hope and I pray that Andrew Wiggins, although he has the Harrison Barnes numbers, will he actually be Harrison Barnes? Which is a crazy sentence because Harrison Barnes isn't that good. My prediction for this team is 45 wins.